well, it's that little voice in our head that keeps telling us we can't do something. So I want to first, before we go any further, I want you to take a moment and think and pause and think, when in your life did you feel that you were unsure, or you didn't feel like you fit in, or you didn't know where you were going, you felt inadequate? So try to think of that time, think how you felt, how it made you feel. That did those feelings hold you back from doing something that you wanted to do? Has it still affected you in your life now? So I want to hold those feelings as we go through this discussion tonight. Why do we hold ourselves and feel inadequate? Or why do we hold those things that we think people are saying about us to stick us from going someplace on that? And if I tell you a little story about baby elephant, there was a baby elephant that was tied to a fence. And as it grew up, as this baby elephant, it kept pulling and tugging and could not break the fence. And as it's growing up and realizing that no matter what it did, that it only can go as far as that rope would let it to, it started forming these limited beliefs. These beliefs that it wasn't good enough, it couldn't go any further, it was stuck in this spot. For it, no matter how hard they tried, that's what she would go through. So now if we go back a second into that scenario that we were talking about earlier, I don't want you to think, can you relate to that little elephant now in your life? Do you have that ability to think that you only could do this much in your life because it's always been that way? So when you go and look at your thoughts, you need to really concentrate on what they can do for you and how much you have control of them on it. But eventually that elephant grew up and it got big and strong, and she could break through that fence. But because she had grown up with the belief that that fence was immovable, she didn't. She stayed attached to it, her limited beliefs and her thoughts that she could only be that much. Even those, like I said, and that's how they trained them in the circuses and all the different things, is because when they were little, they were believed that they can go that far. So when they got so big, they could have easily broke that fence. But because all their life, when they pulled on it, they didn't go anywhere. They just gave up and went with what they were told, went with what they thought it was the way. So how many times have you stopped yourself thinking to keep yourself safe, kept yourself tied to a fence of whatever belief you had that that's all you can do? This is exactly what's me. I was that elephant. It started for me back in around third grade when I started to feel that I was ugly, that I was aware that I was overweight. I felt insecure. I had no friends. I was in special classes for reading and writing. And for me, writing a book, that is a miracle in its own of overcoming on it. I remember back in third grade, I remember being invited to a birthday party for a boy I liked. I remember back in third grade, guys, on it. But when we got to the party, he was always talking to the other pretty girls on it. And I just felt like mortified and frozen. And back then, what I wound up doing is I turned to having cake and eating to make me feel better. I remember being picked on in school and being not picked for the team or being called names on it. These are just a few examples of growing up, of being consistently and constantly teased and bullied for it. And so when we talk about trauma and big things, sometimes it happens in jolt of a big event, or for me, it was just events throughout my life that it was constantly this little thing here, a little thing there. And with it continually happening, it made me feel and secured those feelings of insecurity. It made me believe that was my fence. That was what I believed. That's where I lived. That's what it became my truth. And as a result, food became my best friend to help me cope with it. I thought I wasn't good enough, not worthy of love. I kept myself there because it was safe there. You know that phrase, the grass is always greener on the other side. But the thing is, you're also don't go to the other side because you're safer where you are. You know what it's there. It may not be greener. It may be, and it may not be. So you stay safe You stay in your fence. So what is your fence? I want you to really think, what has been holding you back? What are you stuck with that you maybe still be utilizing today that something happened to you a long time ago? So I don't know if you were ever bullied, but did you ever feel not welcomed when you went someplace, or you felt like you were mean, people made fun of you or didn't like something about you on it, and you were wondering why, and you felt insecure about it? So what we want to do is, I want to ask you, you may be thinking, okay, well, I probably feel that way, but how do I overcome it? And how did that elephant break through? Well, it all started with finding their true self, their voice, finding who they want to be, and taking those steps to get there. For me, like I said, I wasn't the main character in my own story. I lived through what everyone else said I should do, where I should go. I was, like I said, was consistently bullied, making me feel inferior. And that went all the way through college and high school. College and high school and college, and even in the workplace. And only because I let it to. I hid behind the food, where I gained all the weight. I discovered that I didn't have a voice when I wanted to, because I didn't think I was worthy of saying what I should say. So when we say those things about ourselves, we have to think we're keeping us safe inside our fence. We're feeling like, okay, this is just the way life is. There's nothing I can do about it. This is what it is. It's been that way. It's going to always be that way. But I'm here to tell you that you have the key to your fence. You can break and open that key, or through your own self-awareness. But the first way and the only way it's going to happen is if you learn to pour into yourself. You need to learn to do some self-development, self-growth. And if you look at these stories of all these authors, every single one of us went through some type of trauma or situation, but the only way we all started to do it is we worked on ourselves. Once you work on yourselves, then you can help others. And that's one of the things I do as a coach on it, to take those limited beliefs that you have and take them away. Just want to ask you one other thing real quick on it. Do you want to stay in the same place that you are? I want you to think 3 years ahead on it. Not even 3, just a year ahead. Where do you want to be? What is holding you back on it? Do you want a different story? And just with that being said, what do you want your next chapter to be? I remember a poem that you may have heard it. It's called The Dash. We shared it at my mom's funeral. It was about 7 months ago. My mom had passed away, and the last 2 years of her life, I was a full-time caregiver for her. And it made me do a lot of soul searching and thinking. In the poem, The Dash, it tells you your life boils down to that little dash between the day you were born and the day you die. And it asks you, what did you do for your dash? Did you make the best of your dash? Did you help others in your dash? Did you enjoy life and have fun yourself during that dash? So, I want us to really think, you can change that dash still. You still have time. We don't know how long, with God's blessings, hopefully a long time, but we can make the difference. So I want to challenge you to step out of that fence and go for the next start. I want you to start to think, how can I start doing this? I'd like to be your coach and help believe in you till you have the strength to believe in yourself. Help you step out of your fence. And to do that, put my website down there and you can go visit it. But there's a few things I want to let you know that's on there. The first thing is, I'd be blessed just for you to come visit and see what I've got to offer. There is a free 7 steps away, and it is a guide to help you just to start thinking of all the things we kind of were talking about today. I also have a complimentary coaching session on there that I'd be blessed to be able to talk with you to see what action steps on there. But what I'm excited about is I've got a new masterclass coming up in a few weeks, and it'll go through what we've kind of been talking about today, as well as just how to stop those limited beliefs. Are you at that healthy level of disgust that you really want the change for you, and how to start doing it? And then with that, I have my new program that's called Elephant Breakthrough. You can kind of get the sense of the story of elephants to ties with it. And in that program, there's 8 pickets that I'm going to be taking you through. It's empower, love, entrepreneur, planner, habits, accountability, network, and transform. But I work with thinking back when I was one, that most of the people think when they have to work with a business coach, they have to have a 6-figure income, but they don't know where to start. As I said, I start with you and helping you plan, strategize to get things in order for you personally and then your business. We work together on giving you a customized plan of action that you have these tools in your tool belt to take you forward. So for today, my challenges for you is to think what you can do to unlock that fence, and what first steps do you want to take to start pursuing your path that God has put inside of you, just like I have on it. So push through your breakthrough.